Alright guys, a little abbreviated start here today just because I was linking my Navigraph account to the G3000. I didn't want to go through the whole email thing in a YouTube video. So let's go. Battery and generator are on, auxiliary
Oral
boost
warning,
pump
okay.
is on, fuel selector on auto. Autopilot is on. Let's see here. What do we want to do? Um, let's kick the starter on. And ITT is coming up. NG is coming up. NG is at 14. We'll come up to low idle. Oil pressure and oil temperature are coming up. NG's coming up. Dun, 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 dun. Once the NGs get to 58, which they are now, we'll come up into high idle. Now we're watching for a hot start or a hung start. NG up to 79, and it's going to drop down. Oil temperature, oil pressure, both good. ITT is coming up. Expect that to get to about 670 and then stabilize. And we should be good to go. Start is looking just fine. 680, perfect. Alright, let's get this yoke back here. Let's put the bleed on auto. Yesterday, perfect. Yesterday I was trying to figure out, perfect. I was trying to figure out whether I haven't flown this plane in a while, and I couldn't remember whether I had used FSU IPC or whether I used Microsoft Flight Simulator to set things up, and I found the answer to my question. Let's get the weather here real quick. 1017 3003. So let's go 3003 here. And as you may know, you can't change 1017. You can't change the standby altimeter barometer to QNH, but you can change the one on the PFD. So whatever that's worth. I mean, I guess it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference, does it? So let's get myself comfortable in this here chair. But I think we're looking pretty good. Radio. Let's go to radios. Navcom. Yeah, it's not touchscreen right there, Mike. 122.8. And we'll switch that, and we'll go 4643 altitude mode reporting. Alright, for some strange reason, I always use 4643 as my squawk code. I don't know why, I just do. Alright, so there is no ATC where we are, which I didn't think there would be. So let's go to, we are right there. We're gonna go taxiway Bravo and then backtrack runway 11. So let's engage the brakes. Let's release the parking brake. I'm gonna zoom in here. I have intentions of zooming in. Alright, so Anguilla traffic TBM 930 Mike Romeo, taxiing to runway 11 via taxiway Bravo, Anguilla. So let's go over there, all good. Nav and strobe lights are on. And let's get moving. This is, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that this is the gorgeous Anguilla Clayton J. Lloyd International
Traffic,
Airport.
good afternoon. JetBlue 188 type Airbus A320 standing gate Alpha 2. Pushing back and starting engines.
This is the really awesome Anguilla scenery. Clayton J. Lloyd International Airport. You can get it on flightsim.to. You can get it on simmarket.com. I am not affiliated with it. I'm just a huge fan. So
approaching runway 1129. Entered runway 1129.
Anguilla traffic TBM 930 Mike Romeo back taxiing runway 11 full length for departure Anguilla. Alright, so I think I should have the inertial separator on for taxi. Let's see here, let's turn the oxygen on. Let's go altitude. Let's go 27,000 feet. Takeoff flaps are set. Let's turn our landing light on. You want your, I should have turned that on before. You want your landing light on always for taxiing on the runway, and you want to be on center line, which I am not. The reason you want to be on center line and the reason you want your landing light on is because you want to be as visible as possible. The whole point is just to keep you know, if there's landing traffic, that they're going to see your airplane in the middle of the runway, lights on, and be looking out for you. So we're flying today to Raizet on the gorgeous Caribbean island of Guadeloupe. We're flying at 27,000 feet, flight level 270. I don't see any traffic on final. Always make a left turn and then swing around to the right. This keeps the pilot side window towards the final approach course. That way you can see much easier if anybody's coming in. Is that windsock wrong? I hope so, because if that windsock is not wrong, I'm taking off downwind. Hold on. Alright, heading indicator checks with the runway number. Now let's check the weather again here. 100 at 15 knots, so that is exactly backwards. Okay. Alright, makes me feel better. So we are taking off direct Papa Juliet Mike. Let's put it on nav mode. Put it on altitude, and we'll worry about this later. Alright, we are on FMS for active nav. Let's go map mode. Zoom in here. I don't see any traffic. It's going to be right hand turn to a heading of 208. Alright. Anguilla traffic, TBM 930, Mike Romeo taking off runway 11, departure to the south. Anguilla.
Another very good flight, sir.
Roger, thank you. You as well.
Thank you, sir.
Takeoff flaps are set. Takeoff power is coming in. Takeoff power is set. Engine instruments are in the green. Airspeed is alive both sides. 70 knots checks both sides. 90 knots and rotate. Positive rate on the radar altimeter. Gear is coming up. There's a beautiful airport. 115 knots will bring the flaps up. Let's bring the torque back into the green. And Anguilla traffic, TBM 930 Mike Romeo, right crosswind departure off runway 11, departing to the south, Anguilla. And let's hand fly a little bit. Let's hand fly a little bit. I'll put on that little...
And St. Martin traffic is JetBlue 188 taxiing to hot runway 10 via taxiway Delta. JetBlue 188 for St. Martin traffic.
And guess what? It's gorgeous in the Caribbean. What do you know? Alright, so we're going to come through our heading a little bit. Desired heading is 208, but we're a little bit left of course, so we're going to come back through the heading. Torque is at 90, which is perfect. I'm going to trim just a tiny little bit because 170 knots is really what I want. Put in a little bit of left aileron trim. And there's Grand Cas Airport. And what we're going to do now is we'll engage the autopilot and yaw dampener. Let's go flight level change mode. And yeah, I don't want an altitude of 100. I don't know where that came from. I think you saw me set it. So perhaps that's a flight level change. I mean, come on, guys. Like, what's going on here? Mystified at what's going on. Indicated airspeed. So I mean, there's always the chance with me at the controls that this is operator idiocy, but I don't think so. I think I press the buttons correctly. 170 knots is what
climbing through transition altitude.
170 knots is what we're looking for. St. Martin traffic, TBM 930 Mike Romeo, overflying the field at 5,000 feet, climbing flight level 270, Princess Juliana. Alright, we're making a left-hand turn now. Look at that. That's kind of cool. Kind of a cool view. Alright, now let me get my altitude dialed in for the third time.
The Juliana traffic, St. Martin traffic, JetBlue 188 holding short runway 10, lining up and takeoff via the Juliana 2 departure to the west. We'll make a right turn heading to heading 186 before joining west to Juice, before going up north to New York, JetBlue 188 for Juliana traffic. Thank you.
So we have now made our left-hand turn. Just see the Oyster Bay Beach Hotel right there. Got St. Bart's coming up on our left. St. Barthélemy. There's Saba over there. St. Eustatius, St. Kitts, and down beyond that is Nevis. Alright, flight level 090, climbing flight level 270. Let's go standard altimeter setting 299.2, which I should have done already. 1013 on the QNH. Let's make sure the torque stays at 90. Flaps are up, gear is up. I think we are relatively well organized. So today's flight will be going down past St. Bart's, the aforementioned islands on the right. Rather, we're going to see St. Kitts pretty well here. We'll see Antigua off to our left at a bit of a distance, Dominica, and then we're coming down into Guadeloupe. I chose this flight. I wanted something of about 40 minutes or so. It's about what I have time for, really. And we'll get a look at the gorgeous TPM 930. St. Kitts in the background there. I mean, is that a beautiful airplane, or is that my imagination? Alright, we're through 10,000 feet. Turn the landing light off. There's our departure point, Anguilla, right there in the background. Coming up on St. Barthélemy. They just had a, as a matter of fact, speaking of Guadeloupe, they just had a crash there a couple days ago. That's the airport right there. I don't know if it's annoying for people when I use the mouse to show things, point things out, but that's the runway right there. They just had a crash of a Arrow, 180 horsepower Arrow from the Flight Club of Guadeloupe the other day. It was Friday, I think it was. And it was actually the one day I wasn't watching the St. Bart's feed. You can get the St. Bart's live feed on YouTube and just watch the airport. And I pretty much do that all day, every day, except for the day that somebody crashed. Really what he did was he was coming in. He was, first of all, way too low. Then he went, put in power for a go-around, which was the right choice. But then changed his mind at some point and reduced power again to attempt the landing. Stalled the airplane and splatted it on. He pancaked it on and collapsed the gear. Supposedly, from what I understand...
Destination ATIS is 127.6.
Okay. From what I understand, the guy is an instructor and a higher up in the flight club at Guadeloupe. I'm not going to say any more because I don't want to malign somebody without knowing the facts 100%, but that's what I understand. And I don't know. Anyway, so one thing, let me see. I've gotten a couple questions about what my computer specs are. So I have an 8700K processor, and I have a GTX 1080. And I think some people would say, wow, that's kind of interesting that... I mean, I get 30 frames per second pegged, basically. I have VSync on. And I have a lot of things on. I have a lot of things on. Ultra. Like I have clouds on Ultra, I have buildings on Ultra, I have grasses on Ultra, I have sort of things like that. As a matter of fact, what I'll do, this will annoy VATSIM if there's anybody here, but let me just real quick show you so people can see, and you can pause the screen and have a look if you want. So I'm running 2K, render scaling 100, VSync on, frame limit 1100, or DX11 rather. And these are those settings. See vector data, off-screen terrain, progression, ultra, trees, grasses, bushes. 225, 125, clouds are ultra. And the reason I have all that stuff on ultra is because the visual stuff is really what matters to me. Because that's, I fly a lot of VFR. You can pause it if you want to and get a look at those settings. I don't want to stay on this screen for too long. Lens correction, motion blur off. Motion blur is just awful. I don't know why anybody would use motion blur. It's just appalling. But anyway, so those are my settings if anybody wants to look at it. Just getting a look at the approaches and such into Raizet right now. So we're going to do, I believe, get oh, look at this, they're doing some runway work, it looks like, at Raizet. Interesting. Very interesting. So, let's have a look. There is, what is that? That's sync kits. You can almost ask, why I'm climbing to 27,000 feet. It's not going to be that long of a flight, I don't believe, the way we're going. About 25 minutes left. Alright, so I gotta get cracking here on my thinking and my prep here. Start to see Antigua coming in. So if you don't have the G3000 mod for the working title G3000 mod for one runway 2, okay. For this airplane, or any other airplane for that matter. Look at that Rnp 12 temporary. Look at that, we're gonna fly that. La da 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 da. Let's load that. And it seems like we're making a left-hand turn. We should be making a right-hand turn. So let's pull the map down here and have a look at the approach and see if it's loaded properly. And it is. Alright. All good. Now what we want to do. I've had this happen before and it's annoying. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Let's add Bimbo here. So I was not planning on sitting here pressing buttons the entire time. So let's have a real quick look. Charts. Approach. Well, let's look at the arrival. Alright, never mind that. Let's look at the approach, the temporary approach. Let's go. Charts options. Let's go half. Alright. So, let's take a look around here, see what's going on in the world. We're leveling off for level 270. Alright, so Bimbo, kind of a curious name for an approach. Or for a waypoint anyway. Let's look at the Rnp approach. So mandatory, max 210 knots, mandatory 3,600 feet at AVSAT. So let's start with our VNAV planning here. AVSAT 3,600. Enter IRT 12 is 1,800 feet. FRT 12 is 1,800 feet. So this looks like it's going to be a perfect. All right. Alright, so we're good. So let's get back to the home page. Let's go there and there. So now what we can do is, now we've got VNAV. So let's go to altitude of 3,600 feet. And let's enable vertical speed mode. We want to go down at about 1,500 feet per minute, just for an initial. And let's pull the power back because we don't want to speed up. So we need, now you start to see all the VNAV target, the VNAV stuff in your working title flight plan, or your working title PFD rather. So you can see here we need required 2,100 feet, and that's what that little pink arrow is there. So let's go back to vertical speed mode, and let's dial it down until we match that up. And you see how there's that little notch in the blue, in that kind of bluish square, and that matches the VNAV target. So we're good to go. So I want to keep pulling back on the power until I don't want to accelerate. If anything, I want to slow down just a little bit. I didn't intend to turn this into a working title G3000 video either, but let's brief the approach real quick. ATIS is 127.6, approach 121.3, tower 118.4. RNAV approach, actually what we can do is pull it up here and then we can brief it together. Alright, RNAV approach, final approach course 116, glide slope intercept is FR 12T, mandatory 1,800 feet, 1788 above ground level. We'll see the minimums here in a second. Airport elevation 35 feet, runway elevation 12 feet. Missed approach, climb magnetic track 116, which is straight ahead to 1,500, then climbing left turn direct Desto up to 3,600 feet. Do not turn before the missed approach point. Okay, Rnp Approach, transition level by ATC, transition altitude is 9,000. We'll use the same. So we're going to come in here to AVSET at 3,600 feet, descend to 1,800 here, maintain 1,800 there, and then we make our descent. So IRT 12. Let's see. Max 185 knots, heading on 130. Alright. Glide path is 3 degrees, so 90 knots is 478 feet a minute. There's a PAPI on the left-hand side, 1,500 foot straight ahead climb on the track of 116. Minimum on the approach. LNAV, VNAV 292. Good. Alright, approach is briefed. So, once again, back to the maps page. How are we doing on VNAV? We're doing good. 8.5 minutes to the bottom of descent. So, going back to my specs there for a minute. If you're at all familiar with what I do, that's Antigua right there. Come around, we'll see Nevis on this side. If you're at all familiar with, that's not Nevis, that's Dominica, I do believe. If you're at all familiar with what I do in flight sim, there's Guadeloupe right there. I fly pretty much exclusively in the Caribbean, and my performance is awesome. I mean, oh whoops, I didn't mean to do that, darn it. Autopilot, engage, oopsie. I pretty much fly exclusively in the Caribbean. And I think, you know, the Caribbean has, I mean, if it's got it all. If you guys are, if you guys, you might think like, oh, I like flying, you know, jets, right? I like flying interesting approaches. There's all kinds of interesting approaches down here. You know, Antigua's an interesting approach, instrument approach. St. Kitts is an interesting instrument approach. Guadeloupe has some interesting approaches. Trinidad has interesting approaches, both ILS and RNAV approaches. You know, if you like flying kind of GA aircraft like I do, pretty much, gosh, the visual approaches, you can't beat them. I mean, they're just as cool as it gets. So, you know, regardless of what kind of flying you like to do, 15,000 for 9,000. 9,000 is what I'm going to change my altimeter over, that's all. You know, there's all kinds of great approaches. The scenery is amazing. And you can get really good performance without a super crazy system. You don't need a 3090 or a 3080 or, you know, a super wicked processor. Do I get an occasional stutter? Yeah. But you know what? I mean, big deal. I really like the visuals of flying, and as you can see, the visuals are really good on my system, and they work. It works just fine. And the Caribbean for a long time was kind of a forgotten area. You know, there were some airports that were available for purchase. And in Prepared, there used to be a there was a add-on that gave the correct outlines to the islands, like the outline of like the, you know, the shores, so that the islands would be correctly like positioned and proportioned. You know, that's to me pretty lame compared to what we have now. And you know, and the visuals are just great. So I think that anybody, I think people kind of missed the boat a little bit on this area, on this region. I mean, I fly here pretty much exclusively, and I never get bored. Never get bored flying around here. Alright, so Av set, max 210 knots, so let's slow it down just a little bit. And for that matter, you want pretty much the coolest approach you're ever going to fly, go fly the approach into Panama City, Panama that I flew. Look it up on my channel, it's there. It's pretty much the coolest IFR approach you're going to fly. And also between flightsim.to, where this airport that we're flying into right now, Raizet, I got the freeware airport from there. can see as this purple needle kind of moves up, that's indicating to me that my required vertical speed is slowing. So 210 at avset. So we should basically hit avset perfectly. But anyway, so I got this airport that we're flying into is a freeware airport from flightsim.to. There's a ton of freeware airports available on that site, not just for the Caribbean, but for everywhere. There are some payware airports that are good. Trinidad, Tobago, and Grenada comes together as a package that is pretty good. St. Martin is great, the Princess Juliana, because that gives you not only Princess Juliana, it also gives you Grand Cas. Get into some IMC here. The airport that we flew out of, Anguilla, is a payware airport, and that's a fantastic airport. And I need to go to. Let's get the weather at. Okay, altimeter 1016. That's what I really need. And if I wasn't so busy talking, I would have had that set. 3000. Okay, looking good. 5 miles from avset. Alright, weather is winds are 100 at 12 knots, variable out of the east-southeast. Clouds broken 4100, which is exactly what we're finding. Overcast 5600, temperature 28, dew point 18, altimeter 1016. Perfect. Alright. Alright, so we're looking at 1800 at avset. Starting to pay attention now. And then once we cross avset, we can descend to 1800 feet, excuse me. Raizet traffic, TBM 930 Mike Romeo, avset inbound on the Rnp 12 approach. Same, Raizet. Alright, so now we drop this down to 1800, and you see vertical speed mode. And you can see it. All these magenta numbers are giving you what you need. Isn't that nice to get what you need in life? So you just match those, right? You got your magenta arrow here, tells you your vertical descent rate that you need. And like, look at these, look at this scenery. I mean, the clouds I think look great. In sim update 9, I'm going to initialize. I'm going to go into approach mode. We're 1,000 feet to 1,800. That's why that's blinking. Max 210 knots. We're good. We need max 185 knots at IRT 12, and we're just a couple miles from there, so we really need to start bringing the power back. I don't see any other traffic. And I mean, this is the scenery you get in the Caribbean. You get these beautiful sceneries. Alright, so 180 knots. Once we level off, I'm sure we'll drop below that. And this is not a given that we're actually going to be able to land right here, to be honest with you. Alright, 180, let's put in one notch of flaps. Let's put on our landing light. Now when strobe lights are on. Let's put our pitot heat on. And I'm going to bring the power back to about 3,300. This is not a given that we're going to be able to land here, folks. This is a legit IFR approach right now. Put the gear down. I don't like the fact that we're descending right now. Really don't like the fact that we're descending right now. Alright, wait. Why are we descending? Okay. Gears down and indicating. Minimums are 292. Okay. 1,000 for 300 is what I'm going to call it. Raizet traffic, TPM 9030 Mike Romeo on 3 mile final runway 12, Raizet. Put that second notch of flaps down. 760 for 300, a little bit above the glide slope. There we go. Field in sight. 700 for 300. Raizet traffic, TBM 9030 Mike Romeo, short final runway 12, Raizet. And the field is actually, the runway is shortened considerably, so we don't want to be landing actually with those pappies. We want to be well beyond it. Of course, the scenery for the game doesn't reflect that change, but it is there. Look at this. What a cool approach. Okay, minimums continuing. I'm going to turn the autopilot off here. So quite a bit of the runway distance is the runway is shortened quite a bit, I guess is what I'm trying to say. In real life. We'll just land here. Alright, power's coming out. That's not bad. as far as landings go. So let's go flaps up. Okay. So that was a real life instrument approach, which I wasn't actually, honestly, wasn't really mentally prepared for. And let that be a lesson to me. You should always be prepared for an instrument approach. Raizet traffic, TBM 930 Mike Romeo's clear the runway, Raizet. And like I said, this is a freeware airport. Freeware version of this airport. And let's take the taxiway down here. And we will check it out. Let's turn the pitot heat off here. So, I mean, it's nothing special, but it's a pretty nice job, I think. Shouldn't be taxiing at 30 knots. You know, it's not bad. Don't really know where I'm going if you haven't noticed. Probably picked up on that by now. Towers, yeah, towers are over there. Do. Let's go park over by the tower. So I mean, I didn't flight plan this the way I would normally flight plan a real flight, so which is why I didn't know that the runway was shortened, and which is why I didn't know that the that the airport was IFR. And this is taxiway Alpha, excuse me, taxiway Echo. Black Square, you're there. Raizet traffic, TBM 9030 Mike Romeo entering runway 12 at taxiway Echo. We will be exiting via taxiway Charlie. Raizet. Which looks to be exactly what this guy is doing. No, he's just gonna drive right down the. He's just gonna drive right down the runway. All right, cool. This looks like a good place to park. Raizet traffic, TBM 9030 Mike Romeo is clear of the runway. So here's the tower. Let's just come over here and park. Just not what I would normally do, but let's just park right here real quick. Alright, now let's engage the parking brake. Let's go over and down. Alright, let's turn the bleed off. These are all off. Parking brake is on. Gear is down. Flaps are up. Throttle is at idle cutoff. Engine is showing a shutdown here. Let's turn the oxygen off. Let's turn the autopilot off. Fuel selector's fine. Let's turn the boost pump off. Let's turn the ignition off. And let's pull the crash bar down. And then let's turn our lights off. Lights are all off, so we have a good shutdown here. And once again, just a real quick look at this freeware airport. So, I mean, how cool was that for an approach, right? And I mean, I think the visuals were awesome with the clouds. I think the visuals look great. I didn't get any pauses. I didn't get any stutters. FPS was nailed at 30 the entire way. So if you want to have some fun flying, honestly, come down and fly in the Caribbean. You don't need a massive system to get good performance down here. And there's so much to do and see. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and take care. Thanks.